We have a quorum with Chairman Towns and Ms. Zucker present. Is there a motion to call to order the 305th meeting of the members of the Housing Trust Fund Corporation?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
The first item on our agenda is a quarterly update on storm recovery activities. We have from the Governor's Office of Storm Recovery, Seth Diamond, who's the Director of Housing and Small Business Programs, and Melvin Galloway, who's the Director of Operations, joining us.
Gentlemen, thank you very much again, and good to see you. And turn it over to you.
Thank you very much for having us, and Melvin, who I know and we've been working very well together, I think, and with the state government in general on moving forward with the recovery efforts. Since I was here for the last meeting, I think we've made significant progress in a number of areas, both establishing the office as a strong entity that can better serve the needs of New Yorkers, and more importantly, making sure that we're distributing funds both to homeowners and to serve the state's infrastructure needs. I want to take you through briefly some of the highlights of what we've done over the past months, and then of course we'll be happy to answer questions. And we have some materials for you that go into greater detail. As you know, the focus in the first part of the year for much of the office has been in distributing funds to homeowners. When I was here earlier 3 months ago, we were just getting going on making initial payments to homeowners who had to cover reimbursement of costs they had expended in rebuilding their homes, and we've continued to do that, but we have moved forward very aggressively in giving funds for homeowners to reconstruct their homes. So homeowners who hadn't started or hadn't fully finished the work on their homes, we've begun to pay them, give them funds and awards so that they can begin the reconstruction process. And to date, well over 5,000 homeowners have received grants. You can see numbers in our presentation just in the last quarter about how much we've expended, $250 million in reimbursement and nearly $250 million in reimbursement and repair awards. The way our process works is that homeowners receive 50% of their awards up front, and they begin the reconstruction process, and then they receive 50% of the awards at completion. And so we're well underway with most homeowners who've applied having received construction awards, and we're working to get every homeowner who has applied their initial construction award, if they are eligible, so that they can begin the process. We have.
Can I ask you a question about that? Two things.
Yes.
How many people are in the pipeline?
Right.
And how much funds were allocated to this use versus the 250?
We closed applications for the homeowner program on April 11th. That marked about a year that the program was open to applications. It was far longer than other programs in the area. New Jersey, for example, closed its program in September. New York City in October. We stayed open far longer. We did also in the last month of the program, we did substantial outreach to make sure that we had addressed anybody who needed to apply, and we received close to 6,000 applications just in that last month. So we did get a substantial number coming in, and we're beginning the process now of doing the assessments on that final group. We think that we'll be able to move through those quickly over the next months, but it is a substantial number, so we will have to take, it'll take us some time to go through this, but we're determined to make sure we go through that. The total housing budget now is $838 million in our first allocation. We have a second allocation of funds pending with HUD that would bring the total to $1.2 billion, which includes the full range of housing programs, not just the reconstruction program here, but the buyout program, and some supplemental programs that we also have on a smaller scale. So it's a huge commitment of resources, obviously, but it's one that the governor feels strongly is a critical part of the recovery, and we are moving forward.
Except that number is just for the state, right? That doesn't include the build it back, buy it back?
Correct. The city has its own allocation, and the city does its own housing program. The only area of overlap is that the state does acquire homes in the city for buyout. There are 3 designated buyout areas on Staten Island, and we also have a joint program with the city where we acquire homes that have been damaged for people who want to sell and not rebuild in the city. Okay, so that's our overall sort of our central homeowner program. A couple of other programs that you probably have heard about. One that we launched just recently, looking to expand, is called the Interim Mortgage Assistance Program. This provides mortgage assistance, essentially housing assistance, to people who are reconstructing their home and cannot live in their home during the reconstruction process. So people who have a mortgage and then they have to move somewhere else and have to take on a rental expense, we're able to pay that during the period when they're out of their home. We're just getting going. We have several hundred people enrolled, but this program is particularly timely. You may have read that FEMA ended their rental assistance at the end of April. And for example, we have about 400 people who lost FEMA rental assistance that are enrolled in our program. And we did an outreach to all of them to let them know about the availability of the program, so that as they were losing the FEMA assistance, should they continue to need rental assistance, to make sure that they knew that this program was available to them.
So were they first qualified for the homeowner recovery program, and then there's the subsequent?
Those were all eligible for the homeowner program. They had previously enrolled. We verified their eligibility, and then they were at various stages in the homeowner program, but they were not living in their home. They were receiving FEMA assistance. That's now over. So they showed, at least based on the records, that they had a continuing need for rental assistance. So
Clever.
hopefully we can help them.
Mm-hmm.
We also have the buyout program, which is focused both on Staten Island and on Long Island primarily, although there are upstate components to it also. On Staten Island, we have three buyout areas. A buyout area are areas where we have designated those areas and we wish to purchase all the homes in the area. The long-standing one is Oakwood Beach, and we have almost all of those homes either in contract or purchased at this point. We have two newer areas. One is Ocean Breeze, and one more recently designated in the Midland Beach area. And those, we're beginning the process to buy those homes out. The other aspect of this in New York City is an acquisition program, where, as I say, that people who are in the city who have suffered substantial damage, who want to sell their home, the state will purchase their home. And we're working closely with the city now that the city is reinvigorating their program to make sure that we have a good process to acquire homes from city residents who are interested in selling.
So I know in the first, like the Oakwood Beach buyout, that once that's purchased, that land then becomes
Forever vacant.
Forever vacant.
Yeah.
In the second project, is that the same situation?
No, the acquisition, that land is then redeveloped. And so we are working with the city. The city has designated an entity to hold title to the land after it's acquired for redevelopment purposes, and we're in discussions with local legislators on Long Island about how the redevelopment should happen. It's an area of substantial concern at the locality level. What will happen with the properties? Will they be vacant for substantial periods? What about the tax purposes? Sure. Will the redevelopment be consistent with the character of the community? Those kinds of issues. And we actually have an RFP that's out, I believe, for a service to help us do the mechanics of the process, auction RFPs. I think that's one of the ones that's out already. Yeah, so we can talk.
That's
pending. Yeah. We've purchased in total about getting close to 200 homes, about 180 homes, and have offers on many more than that, over 700. You can see the materials in the last quarter. We've spent about $52 million on the efforts. Our efforts go beyond homeowners and homes, although that is certainly one of the key parts of it, but we have many other important components. We've moved forward with our small business program, which provides assistance to small businesses that were impacted by the storm. We had some difficulties initially in making sure that that was up and serving the needs of businesses, but I think we've done a better job lately. We have over $12 million that we've made available to small businesses, nearly 500 businesses to date. In the last quarter, you can see it's about $7.4 million. So we're moving ahead, I think, in a much better way, working very cooperatively with other parts of the state government to make sure that we're serving the needs of small businesses. We have a couple of other parts of the program that are critical that I wanted to touch on. One is the New York Rising Community Reconstruction Program. That is the program that designates communities around the state and provides them with resiliency funds so that they can do a community-based effort to design the projects that are important to those communities. It has been an amazingly successful and empowering process for communities around the state. I know Commissioner Towns was at the conference that we had just 2 weeks ago where we heard with the governor the latest plans that the communities have. They all, by the end of April, had to turn in very detailed plans about what projects those communities wanted to pursue. They're now going through a process of winnowing down the projects and looking at the available funding. Each community has a budget that they can then use to purchase to fund the projects that are, again, most important to them, and the projects, of course, have to be consistent with the CDBG rules and go through the environmental and other kinds of processes to qualify. But it's been, I think, a very interesting process, and it really has brought communities together around the state. You see a very good bonding of neighborhoods, of communities, of counties even, as they look at what's helpful, not just in their particular area, but on a broader regional level. And so I think it's been a very good process that we've learned a lot, and we have some new communities that are coming on board, an additional group that just got designated that's beginning the process, and the original 45 committees, which represent 102 communities, as I say, are in the process of selecting which projects they want to fund. The other major piece on what we are moving forward with is infrastructure, which includes making sure the large-scale programs that will help the state be in a better position to withstand severe weather, to get those going. Those are a range of programs from roads and bridges to power plants and sewage treatment plants. We've been in the process of identifying which projects are most critical to the state and to local governments, and looking at the available funding to make sure they reflect the best investment possible for the public dollars. We have made available nearly $50 million in infrastructure spending to local governments. And that's what's known in the field as FEMA match. That's to help local governments who had to use funding of their own, who would have had to use funding of their own to pay for FEMA assistance, a portion of FEMA assistance that they received. So it's a huge benefit to local communities and allows much larger infusion of FEMA money to flow to those local communities. So it's a very substantial local help.
How much is in that program, Seth?
Well, local match to date, it's been almost $50 million, $49 million. Mm-hmm. We have $128 or so million allocated, and in the first allocation, and $126 in the allocation that's pending with HUD, so a little over $250 million. Mm-hmm. So just to touch on that, we do have pending with HUD now what's known as our Action Plan Amendment number 6. It's a sort of a clunky term for what we have to file to be eligible to use the second allocation of funds, which is $1.7 billion. The federal government had made that funding available, and as you know, you go through a process of filing a plan, having public hearings on the plan, filing some information with HUD, and then HUD reviews it. They are currently in the review process. We anticipate having approval on the plan by the end of May, which will make the $1.7 billion, the second allocation, available to New York State, which can be spent, again, on a range of programs. Some homeowner, but a lot of them infrastructure and related. And so that will give New York a total of $3.8 billion when you look at the first allocation and the second allocation. As you know, We continue to have concerns about the third allocation. There's been some press reports about what will be available. We expect to hear more fully on that. We certainly hope that that number will be maximized, but are obviously concerned based on what has been discussed in Washington.
So you're about 30%, 40% sort of into the spending of the money? Is that fair to say? Quarter?
Well, I
So
think
we have a ways to go. I'm not criticizing, I'm just trying to get a sense of sort of on a going forward basis.
We do. We have a ways to go, I would
Yeah.
say. Housing has been the most active program so far, and so we had 300 million of that spent or given to homeowners.
Yep.
And we have much more to do in that program. The other programs haven't started yet in earnest. Infrastructure is the second largest program where we're giving out money. I think that was about 15 million we had said, so we have a ways to go.
Sure.
Let us know how we can help.
Yeah, kind of piggybacking on that, and
Yep.
looking at big industry for the state tourism. And I'm sure that even though some of the ski areas are still kind of getting some of their public infrastructure back in line because of all the snow, it's probably a ban a year. Where do we stand in regard to the summer seasonals? The infrastructure for the beaches, and will we be able to hopefully, be prepared enough to make sure that we can take advantage?
We have been looking at that in a number of ways. One is the small businesses themselves have applied everything from marinas to other small businesses that serve in a seasonal capacity, and so we've made sure we've identified those for funding through the Small Business Assistance Program. Robert Moses Park was one of the first infrastructure projects that was approved precisely for the reason you said, so it could be in the best shape possible for the summer season. And I know we've been working very closely with Commissioner Harvey on her priority projects for parks throughout. And the community reconstruction program has identified a number of the communities throughout the state have identified tourism or local economic revitalization programs that they want to pursue with their funding, enhancing main streets, doing more with local assets to revitalize communities. So that'll be another way to inject much needed funding to precisely the areas you're talking about.
Good.
Well, let me talk on a couple of more specific granular issues that to make sure you're aware in case you have questions. One is our MWBE progress. This continues to be a focus of significant concern to make sure that as we release contracts, our information is available fully to the range of contractors who are responding, and that our contractors and subcontractors are meeting the MWBE commitments. We have made sure the language is appropriate, that we're meeting the requirements. We've worked very closely with HTFC staff on this issue and with the ESD staff who monitor the issue for the state. You want to talk a little bit more about
Yeah,
the
but we've
efforts?
had some really, over the past month, some really good technical assistance meetings with the Fair Housing Office here with HTFC, which has been great. And one of the recommendations that they asked for, and we think is something that we have to do, is to bring on an MWBE and then the Section 3 person to help build out a plan for us so that we can ensure that we're compliant. We have also built a relationship with ESD, which has been great. So we have I think we have 4 RFPs outstanding, and we had a webinar with ESD to MWBE firms to make sure that they were reached out to. And we're going to keep doing that. Last, I think, on MWBE compliance is we have an RFP out for integrity monitors, and we think that we can get a variety of MWBE specialized small firms to help with MWBE compliance. So it's very important for the team that we get that we do that right.
Right. So that MWBE compliance, you're looking to have a consultant or to bring someone on staff?
We will have someone on staff and consulting resources to support. So one of the balancing challenges for us is, given time frame that we have to spend the money based on the federal requirement is how much staff can we and should we bring on board versus external support. So we walk that line every day, but we are very close to identifying a candidate, and Wanda Graham has been great with technical assistance. So.
Great.
Nice.
Excellent.
And then finally, I just wanted to mention our case management contract because you had been very helpful and supportive in previous discussions on this contract. You may remember ProSource was brought on initially as the case management vendor under emergency procurement because of the emergency nature of getting the services in place. They were here, they were able to start work about a year ago, doing initially work in the buyout and area, and then expanding to serve the broader homeowner needs. They did continue to do work under that emergency procurement, but we did a solicitation recently that was competitively procured for ongoing services, since it is an ongoing need to have services and we need to market test the program and make sure that we're using a competitively procured vendor. A company called IEM won that solicitation and has been going through a transition program. They will be taking over from ProSource. They are in the process now. They're probably about 2/3 of the way from taking over from ProSource, and they will virtually fully taken over by the end of the month. ProSource has stayed on during a sort of a transition and phase-out stage to do some knowledge transfer and to ensure that there's a smooth process of transition to IEM so that the homeowners, it is seamless for the homeowners we're serving. We think IEM has gotten off to a good start and is going to be a very strong provider, and will be able to pick up right where ProSource left off. So again, our goal is so that the homeowners do not notice it and that we can continue to serve it. Obviously, a major focus of their activities is going to be on the 6,000 new applicants that I referenced earlier, to move those through as quickly as possible. We also have a separate solicitation. The responses just came in on Friday for buyout services. That was another element of ProSource's work, and that solicitation is currently being evaluated. Upon award of that contract, the ProSource contract will be fully completed. The homeowner services for non-buyout will be the end of May, the rest of it the end of June, and then they'll be fully completed. Okay, that's all I have.
Great. Any questions?
Have you gotten any feedback on your plan amendment number 6?
We have. We've gotten initial feedback from HUD. And part of it's at this point, HUD has, I think, 60 days, and they're well into that, up against their deadline to get us comments. So they got us initial comments, and we're responding to those. A couple of comments related to how are we ensuring that we're communicating and promoting our programs. Another is related to compliance and how are we ensuring that we are complying with Section 3, for example. So through this process, we'll either have to clarify that in a revised plan that we put out to the public, or we'll note it for the record for HUD for their monitoring when they come in August.
So you would expect approval
Weeks.
at the end of that 60-day period?
They have a May 25th deadline, so they're working very aggressively with us so that we're working really side by side to respond to their comments, because they have to make sure that it's in shape, because they have to get to Secretary Donovan by the 8th. I think it's the 25th. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
Thank you, and I
Really
just
appreciate
want to
it.
thank you, Commissioner Towns, and Marion, and Sharon, and Matthew Nelson, and really your whole team has been amazingly helpful as we go through, both from an administrative point of view and a program point of view. It's been incredibly helpful over this past nearly year that I've been here, but particularly in the last months as we've stepped up and gotten more active. They've been
Great.
incredibly helpful, so
Great.
thank you
Let
very
us
much.
know how we can continue to support you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
The second item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes of the 304th meeting on April 11th, 2014. If there are no questions or comments, the minutes are deemed approved. The third item on the agenda is a resolution approving the secret documentation and classification of the environmental impact of Cove on the Concourse and Canva Gardens Phase 2. The Fifth Avenue project, which is listed in the agenda, has been tabled. Ms. Pittsburgh will be presenting on the secret items.
Good morning. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. This morning I have two projects. The first one is a type 1, and I'm recommending a negative declaration. That is for the Cove on Concourse. It's the new construction of a 12-story, 50-unit building in the Bronx using MRT and project-based vouchers. It's a type 1 due to the site's location being substantially contiguous to a historic district. Both the State Historic Preservation Office and New York City Landmarks have determined no adverse impact from the development. And for that reason, in addition to there being no other negative environmental impact, I'm recommending a negative declaration. The other project this morning is an unlisted action, and I'm recommending a negative declaration, and that is the Canva Gardens project, which is demolition of an existing hospital building with new construction of 293 units using MRT funding. And at this time, I'd be happy to take any questions.
Are there any questions on this item? As the Fifth Avenue project has been tabled, Section 3 of the resolution corresponding to this project is going to be struck, and then the subsequent provisions will move up. Is there a motion to adopt this resolution as amended?
So moved. Second.
Thank you. The motion is carried. Item number 4 is a resolution authorizing awards under the Rural and Urban Community Investment Fund Program for Capital South Campus Center and Watkins Glen Apartments. Mr. Fitzgerald.
Good morning. And Zucker, present for your consideration our offers.
Hey, Sean, can you move it a little bit, the mic closer to you?
Oh, sure. How about this?
That's better.
Better, yep.
Okay. Good morning. Presented for your consideration our authorizations to award community investment funds for two projects, the Capital South Campus Center in Albany and the Watkins Glen School Apartments Community Service Facility. In September 2013, HTFC issued an open window NOFA for site-specific project applications seeking funding through Rural and Urban Community Investment Fund. An RFP was subsequently issued explaining the application process, new criteria for local matter requirements for each funding source. In response to the open window NOFA and RFP, HCR received a total of 4 applications to date. As a result of threshold eligibility, scoring, and underwriting reviews, as well as consideration of other factors outlined in the RFP, including consideration of the state's housing goals and priorities, 2 applications for the CIF are now recommended for consideration. Briefing sheet describing the specifics of each project attached.
That's really hard to hear.
First application is from the city,
Sean, you're going down in volume again.
Oh, wow. I think this microphone might be a problem. Maybe a little bit closer.
It's a volume button.
Usually I'm too loud. All right, how's this?
Better.
Any better? Okay. The first application is from the Albany Housing Authority requesting $750,000 build out and equip a 3,300 square foot commercial kitchen as part of the Capital South Campus Center, a $5.4 million facility under construction in Albany South End. The campus center is in close proximity to over 450 units of HCR affordable housing and will offer these residents and the community as a whole a wide range of educational and job training opportunities. Under an executed MOU between the Housing Authority, Senior Services of Albany, and the Schenectady County Community College, the commercial kitchen will house both the Albany County Meals on Wheels program and the Community College's Culinary Arts program. The second application submitted for your consideration is from SEPP Inc., a Southern Tier not-for-profit serving the housing needs of seniors and persons with disabilities. The CIF dollars will be used to rehabilitate over 20,000 square feet of auditorium and gymnasium space that are part of the Watkins Glen School Apartments, a 51-unit senior affordable housing project that recently received a 9% tax credit award and HDF subsidy award as part of HCR Unified Funding 2013. The renovated space will be leased by the Village of Watkins Glen, and will be used as general purpose civic space. The CIF award will leverage over $900,000 in ESBC funds awarded in the CFA 2013 funding round. The Office of Finance and Development has determined that both applications are financially feasible and satisfy the conditions for award established in the RFP. We recommend approval. I'm happy to answer any questions you have at this time.
Any questions?
I don't have any questions.
Assuming the same first and second as previously submitted, all in favor of adopting this resolution, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, the motion is carried. The next 5 resolutions are confirming resolutions. Pursuant to HTFC's bylaws, resolutions may be approved in writing by all members. These resolutions must be confirmed at the next meeting in order to maintain their effectiveness. Item number 5 is a resolution confirming the authorization of awards under the Rural and Urban Community Investment Fund program. By written approval on April 16, 2014, the members passed a resolution authorizing 2 awards under the Rural and Urban Community Investment Fund program. Are there any questions on this item, or is there a request for an additional presentation? Assuming the same first and second as previously submitted, all in favor of adopting this resolution, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. The motion is carried. Item number 6 is a resolution confirming authorization of awards under the Home Program. By written approval on April 16, 2014, the members passed a resolution authorizing 4 awards under the Home Program. Is there a request for a presentation on these items?
No.
Assuming the same first and second as previously submitted, all in favor of adopting this resolution, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. The motion is carried. Item number 7 is a resolution confirming the authorization of an award under the Rural Area Revitalization Projects Program. By written approval on April 16, 2014, the members passed a resolution authorizing 1 award under the Rural Area Revitalization Projects Program. Is there a request for a presentation on this item? Assuming the same first and second as previously submitted, all in favor of adopting this resolution, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. The motion is carried. Item number 8 is a resolution confirming the authorization of awards under the Low Income Housing Trust Fund program. By written approval on April 16, 2014, the members passed a resolution authorizing 14 awards under the Low Income Housing Trust Fund program. Is there a request for a presentation on this item?
Nothing.
Assuming the same first and second as previously submitted, all in favor of adopting this resolution, please say aye.
Aye.
The motion is carried. And item number 9 is a resolution confirming the authorization to amend the engagement of Saks BST to perform the annual audit. By written approval on April 18, 2014, the members passed a resolution authorizing an amendment of its engagement of Saks BST to conduct HDFC's year-end 2014 audit with an expanded scope to include necessary testing related to the CDBG disaster recovery program funding with a fee of all services not to exceed $76,675. Is there a request for a presentation on this item? Assuming the same first and second as previously submitted, all in favor of adopting this resolution, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. The motion is carried. We have 3 new action items. The first new action item is a resolution authorizing an award under the Homes for Working Families program to 6469 Broadway Apartments, Van Cortlandt Green. Mr. Garwood.
Hello, I think everybody's familiar with this project. It has been worked on by our staff for quite some time. Just to give you a little bit of background, the project is a self-help project. It is 85 units located in the Bronx. It is a senior affordable housing project where all the units we set aside for seniors making up to 60% of the area median income. If you may remember, the project has had some change in use, and it has applied under a April RFP we issued for Homes for Working Families, where we had a set aside for highly ready projects. It applied under that highly ready project set aside, and we are recommending $8.85 million of those funds to make the project move forward. It would be required to close prior to August, and we anticipate closing the project sooner than that. As I mentioned, it's a senior project. 8 of the housing units will be covered by a HAP contract. It'll appreciate a green rooftop terrace, laundry room, 19 parking spaces. The project meets the agency's green buildings. It's also been accepted into the New York State DEC Brownfields Cleanup Project. program, excuse me. The developer is Self-Help, and Self-Help, as you probably know, we've been working with them on other projects, is a private, non-for-profit organization founded in 1936. The project has had its ups and downs and its changes, and once the consensus was reached that it would be a senior-only project, I was very impressed with Self-Help and their ability to demonstrate the project readiness. The funding that we're recommending here is essentially because of the change in use, it's a supplanting of the previous funding allocated to a project which had included 3.25 in MRT funds, 750,000 in SLIC, and 1.9 million in HFA subsidy. So we do anticipate the project moving forward perhaps as early as a June closing.
That's great. Thank you, and to the staff for your creativity in keeping this project alive.
Agreed. Agreed.
Well, I want to definitely thank Richard. He was instrumental in making this project move forward and working with all the players.
Happy day.
Yes. We all want to go to the ground.
Assuming the same first and second as previously submitted, all in favor of adopting this resolution, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. The motion is carried. The second new business item is a resolution authorizing an award under the Preservation Initiative Program for a landmark on Main Street. Ms. Fleischman will be presenting this project.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Can you hear me?
We're
a
having
little
some
hard,
challenges. Maybe.
Sound like you're underwater, but keep
One second.
persevering.
Is this any better?
Yeah, actually that is.
Yes.
Okay. All right. This project is a rehabilitation of 60 units of senior rental housing located on Main Street in Fort Washington in Nassau County under the Preservation Initiative Program. The affordability of the project will be maintained with 57 units affordable to households below 50% of the median, one household below 60%, and one household below 80%. The rent of the studios range from $650 and $684. The one-bed rent is $855. The cost of heat is included in the rent. These rents are achievable directly as a result of the Housing Trust Fund mortgage in lieu of commercial debt. For contrast purposes, it should be noted that the fair market rent on studios in Nassau County is $1,033 and $1,309 for a one-bedroom unit. The existing reserves totaling $1,228,359 will be used to fund construction costs. HCR funding for this project will be provided by the Housing Trust Fund in the amount of $1,052,889 and federal low-income housing credits, which will leverage a federal home loan provided by the county in the amount of $600,000. Tax credits in the amount of $628,405 per year is expected to produce equity in the amount of $6,410,655 based upon a pay-in of $1.02 for each dollar of projected tax credits. This infusion of funds will preserve the affordability of this vital asset for an additional 30 years and improve its energy efficiency. HCR's Architectural and Engineering Bureau has reviewed the scope of work listed and found the items necessary to protect and preserve the quality of this project are being provided. The repairs and upgrades are required to meet an energy efficiency standard beyond that required by applicable building code, including new plumbing fixtures of water-conserving type and Energy Star rated appliances. Interior doors are being replaced to provide full visibility in the units for handicapped accessibility. A resolution authorizing the Housing Trust Fund Corporation to award up to $1,052,889 from the Low Income Housing Trust Fund Program and enter into a regulatory agreement for the Landmark on Main Street project is attached for your consideration, and I'd be happy to answer any questions at this time.
I don't have any questions.
No questions. Great job.
Assuming the same first and second as previously submitted, all in favor of adopting this resolution, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, the motion is carried. The third new action item is a resolution adopting an amended policy on reporting and maintaining records on lobbying contracts.
Right. This is an interim amendment to the lobbying policy that we have. It reflects a change in the law some time ago that wasn't picked up. What is basically the lobbying policy is going to affect rate making, which we don't do, and rule making, which a small part. So it doesn't have major impact. However, this is part of a larger discussion among the agencies in an attempt to align procurement, policies, those types of things. So discussions are going on, and I can almost guarantee you there'll be further changes in a number of policies as we go forward and try and align them. If we can't align certain things, we won't, but at least we will make an attempt. So I would ask the board to approve this, knowing that this is a temporary resolution and policy.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. The motion is carried. The remainder of the items are informational items and do not require board action. I'll read these items quickly into the record. Please let me know if you'd like to have a discussion on any of these items. First item is a review of secret type 2 actions and concurrent summaries. Second item is a review of authorized contracts under the CDBG Disaster Recovery Program for Housing and Business Assistance and Public Infrastructure and Facilities. These include amendment of the contract for services with ProSource Technologies, an amendment to legal services agreements with Golenbach, Eisenman, Azerbell, and Pesco, Drohan Lee LLP, Morris Duffy Alonso and Falley, Anderson Kill and Olnick, and Carter Layard Milburn LLP. An agreement with CSG Advisors Incorporated, and a subrecipient agreement with Health and Welfare Council of Long Island. The remaining pending items on the agenda have been tabled. Are there any questions or comments from the board? Is there a motion to adjourn this meeting?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. The meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody.